They hide their faces because their families live under the rule of the Islamic State of Iraq and the
In an increasingly multipolar world defined by shifting powers and new alliances, three nations stand at the crossroads of faith, strategy, and strength: Saudi Arabia, Pakistan, and Turkey. United by a shared history and vision for the future, together they represent a powerful blend of military might, economic potential, diplomatic clout, geographic influence, and technological innovation. Today, we explore what the formation of a Saudi-Pakistan-Turkiye alliance could mean for global politics, trade, the Muslim world, and what other states are likely to join this alliance. Welcome to a deep dive into one of the most talked about geopolitical partnerships of our time. For decades, the Iranian-led Axis of Resistance stood as the defining power structure across parts of the Middle East, a Shiite network that stretched from Tehran to Beirut, built on proxy influence and anti-Western sentiment. Iran's ingress into a predominantly Sunni Arab landscape was abetted by America's war on terror in an already fractured Arab world, starting with Iraq in 2002. The Sunni world wasn't just bickering with one another at the state level, but it also started facing the fallout of its proxy groups, built over decades in partnership with the US to fight the proxy war against the Soviets.
ليش امريكا قاتلت مع صدام حسين ضد الخميني؟ كان صديقها، تشيني كان صديق لصدام حسين. رامسفيلد كان وزير دفاع الامريكا لما كان يدمروا في العراق، صديق حميم لصدام حسين. واخيرا باعوه وشنقوه. حتى انتم اصدقاء امريكا، نحن اصدقاء امريكا، بلاش نقول انتم، نحن اصدقاء امريكا كلنا. قد توافق امريكا على شنقنا في يوم ما. الأخ عمر موسى عنده فكرة متحمس له برنامج ذكره حتى الآن أو ذكره في تقريره إن العرب من حقهم أن يستخدموا الذرة للأغراض السلمية ويجب يكون في برنامج عربي نووي.
هي ليست عبيدة للاستعمار مثلك وغيرك. من جابك في الحكم أنت؟ من جابك في الحكم؟ قل صحيح من جابك؟ لكن لا تتكلم ولا تتورط بأشياء مالك فيها لا حق ولا نصيب والكل هو أمامك والقمر هو قدامك.
Following the 9/11 terrorist attacks in the US, America moved to decapitate these same holy warriors along with the Sunni world, specifically the Saudis and Pakistanis, as their jihadi proxies turned against their state sponsors. This inward kinetic introspection by the Sunni world and the collapse of Arab states like Iraq and Yemen gave Iran and its proxies the space to spring up inorganically and fill the vacuum. But over time, internal economic pressures, prolonged conflicts, especially the Syrian resistance, and the shifting public opinion within the region began to fracture the Iranian alliance from within. Iran's struggles with sanctions, domestic unrest, and political isolation eroded its ability to sustain its regional proxies. Simmering tensions within the Axis of Resistance came to a boiling point in April 2024 when Israel bombed Iran's consulate in Damascus, Syria. Syria refused to act against Israel, which then prompted Iran to act directly against Israel for the first time. As Israel-Iran confrontations started becoming more frequent, Israel dealt a heavy blow to Iran in Lebanon with the swift decapitation of Hezbollah's top leadership in targeted bombings, and disrupting the entire Hezbollah hierarchy with an unprecedented pager attack. Around this time in September 2024, Turkey, unhappy with the futile kinetics of the Iranian Axis, and sensing Israel's next move into Syria, acted quickly to convince Iran to back out of Syria. In parallel, Turkey kept cajoling the Russians, who were already bogged down in Ukraine, to vacate Syria and let the Turks clean up the hot mess they were about to leave behind. Turkey provided intelligence and material support to Syria's Sunni resistance to quickly topple Bashar al-Assad, who now lives in self-exile in Moscow. By doing so, Turkey brought Israel's advance into neighboring Arab states to a grinding halt. Losing Syria to Israel's proxies, especially the SDF in northern Syria, would have presented an existential threat to the Turks. Meanwhile, the security calculus of the Khaliji states was about to change. The Israeli bombing of Qatar in September 2025 was the proverbial last straw that broke the Saudi camel's back. For the first time, Israel had shown its intent to bomb not just outside of the Levant, but against a non-hostile Arab state that was closely allied with the US. And not only did it attack right at the heart of the US CENTCOM in the Middle East, but the US did nothing to prevent nor punish Israel's aggression. It is in this vacuum and geopolitical background that a new bloc started emerging, a strategic understanding between Saudi Arabia, Pakistan, and Turkey, driven not by sectarian identity, but by pragmatism, development, and regional self-sufficiency. While the Saudis and Pakistanis have historically been allied closely and were first to enter a joint defense pact, the Saudis and Turks have historically been hostile with one another since the colonial era. However, the rapidly changing environment, as well as joint threats facing these states, showed the clarity of vision of both Saudi Arabia and Turkey. Instead of being chained to sectarian and geopolitical bad blood of the past, they chose to bury the past and look ahead to secure regional stability. Pakistan, enjoying good relations with both Turkey and Saudi Arabia, became the gravitational force that drew Saudi Arabia and Turkey closer. As the wheels fell off the Iranian axis, this emerging Sunni Axis promises an organic and forward-looking future based on cooperation, regional stability, and shared prosperity, rather than ideological confrontation. At the heart of this emerging alliance lies Saudi Arabia, a nation not just central by geography, but by destiny. Positioned at the core of three continents, it stands as both the spiritual soul and the strategic anchor of the Muslim world. Within its borders lie the holiest cities of Islam, Mecca and Medina, the birthplace of a faith that binds more than 1 billion people across the globe. But beyond its spiritual gravity, Saudi Arabia commands a powerful geographical advantage, sitting at the crossroads of three great waterways: the Suez Canal, the Bab al-Mandab, and the Strait of Hormuz. These are not just routes, they are lifelines of global trade and energy flow. Together, they form a triangle of power, where control and stability mean influence over the movement of the world's fuel, commerce, and connection. Stretching from the shores of the Mediterranean to the foothills of the Himalayas, Turkey and Pakistan stand as the two far ends of a geographically and culturally powerful corridor. Turkey, the historic gateway to Europe, once connected the ancient world to the minds that ignited the Industrial Revolution. On the other end, Pakistan opens the door to two of humanity's oldest and richest civilizations, India and China, cradles of philosophy, art, and innovation. Between them lies not just geography, but a living bridge between East and West. And it's this unique positioning that's made both these nations influential far beyond their size, forever rubbing shoulders with giants and proving time and again that they can punch well above their weight. The diplomatic weight of this emerging alliance is nothing short of formidable. Each member brings with it a different sphere of global influence, a different power network, and together, they hold connections to every major global bloc. In essence, this alliance carries the reach of three major powers: the United States, the European Union, and China. At its core, Saudi Arabia wields unmatched influence in Washington. Few can forget the moment that influence came into full view recently when Riyadh persuaded the Trump administration to support the new Syrian government against Israel's wishes. For decades, Washington and Tel Aviv have been inseparable. Yet, on that occasion, US policy bent in deference to Riyadh's priorities. The Trump administration chose to accede to Saudi priorities as Trump announced the lifting of sanctions on Syria and backing Ahmed al-Sharaa. So deep is the level of influence that Trump was seen exchanging gifts and friendly banter with Ahmed al-Sharaa. That's the kind of quiet yet decisive power Saudi Arabia commands. Then comes Turkey, straddling continents, balancing alliances, and mastering the art of diplomacy between East and West. As both a NATO member and a bridge to the European Union, Turkey exerts influence in some of the most powerful corridors of Brussels and beyond. From trade and migration to energy and defense, Ankara has learned to turn geography into geopolitical leverage. And to the east, Pakistan. Long considered China's iron brother, Islamabad stands at the heart of Beijing's Belt and Road Initiative. Through the China-Pakistan Economic Corridor, Pakistan has direct access to the world's second-largest economy and its massive industrial engine. Beijing openly likens its bond with Pakistan to the United States' relationship with Israel. In the United Nations, China has repeatedly used its veto power to back Pakistan's positions, underscoring just how tightly the two are allied. Together, these three nations form more than just an alliance. They represent a bridge across civilizational, economic, and ideological worlds. In 2025, the balance of power in the Muslim world began to shift. What started as a simple defense pact between Saudi Arabia and Pakistan soon evolved into something far greater, a new trilateral military alliance reshaping geopolitics across Asia and the Middle East. After Pakistan's stunning demonstration of its network-centric multi-domain warfare in May 2025, the world took notice. And as Turkey gets ready to join this alliance, the game is about to change forever. Three nations, one vision. Combined 1.5 million active troops. Saudi Arabia fueling the alliance with wealth and energy. Turkey commanding the seas with its modern blue water navy and aerial warfare. Pakistan guarding the land, leading in beyond visual range aerial combat, and holding the power of nuclear deterrence. Together, they can form the region's most potent military force. But beyond the battlefield lies a deeper ambition. Through joint research and Saudi-backed funding, the Tri-Alliance is developing indigenous stealth aircraft, drones, and missile systems. Their goal? Total independence from Western or Russian arms, and a self-reliant and secure supply chain after the Mossad's pager attack on Hezbollah revealed the dangers of dependency on others. And as Saudi Arabia rises as a global AI powerhouse through Project Humane, the alliance gains a cutting-edge advantage. A sovereign digital defense network capable of real-time coordination, rapid targeting, and autonomous decision-making. By end of 2026, Pakistan's induction of the Chinese J-35 stealth fighters, equipped with PL-16 long-range missiles, will give the bloc air dominance strong enough to rival even NATO forces. What began as a regional defense pact is now on the brink of becoming a pan-Islamic military alliance. Technologically advanced, financially stable, and strategically unshakable. From the deserts of Arabia to the peaks of the Himalayas, from the bustling ports of Gwadar to the ancient corridors of Istanbul, a new alliance is taking shape. This is more than an alliance, it's a statement, a vision of sovereignty, technology, and strength, a challenge to old systems, and a reminder that global influence can take new forms. But every alliance is tested by time and ambition. Behind the unity, fractures are already forming, competing priorities, old rivalries, and outside manipulation from global powers. Can this newborn bloc survive the pressures of politics, religion, and economy? And what happens when others, watching from the sidelines, decide to join in? Because the story doesn't end here. Whispers are growing of Egypt, Indonesia, Libya, Somalia, and others looking towards the same horizon. If they join, this could become more than an alliance. It could become a global Muslim confederation, reshaping everything we know about the balance of power. In the next episode, we uncover the challenges, the frictions, and the future expansions that could either make or break the Saudi-Pakistan-Turkiye alliance.